Hi everybody, welcome back. Let me know what you think about my new intro. For those of you who are new to the channel, my name is Vlad, and today we're going to be diving into some TikTok videos that are going to make you say, what? So guys, if you're enjoying this content, don't forget to like and subscribe and follow me for more. Let's get to it.
How long before we're a cashless society?
This is where I get scared because it's too similar to the mark of the beast. It's too similar to exactly what it says. You won't be able to trade, you won't be able to do anything unless you have the mark.
How's the mark of the beast described in the Bible? We should read it. Then I saw another beast rising out of the earth. It had two horns like a lamb, and it spoke like a dragon. It deceives those who dwell on earth. It also causes all, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slave, to be marked on the right hand or the forehead, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark. This calls for wisdom. Let the one who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666.
I'm at Whole Foods and I'm about to pay for my groceries with my... That's the coolest thing ever.
Well guys, let's first understand how we got here. The mark of the beast is a concept from the book of Revelation in the Christian Bible, specifically chapter 13, verse 16 to 18. And it's the final battle between good and evil. Who controls the food? Who controls the job? Who controls the hospitals? The market in general. Those are the things that you gotta look for. But anyways, let's move on to the next video.
Neuralink just released a video yesterday, and it's just insane that it won't be long
before someone with a Neuralink device can communicate faster than someone who has a fully functional body, and the goal is to give people superpowers. A way to think about the Neuralink device is kind of like a Fitbit or an Apple Watch with tiny wires or electrodes. Those tiny wires are implanted in the brain and they read and write electrical signals. Our first product is telepathy, which enables a person with a Neuralink implant to control their phone or computer just by thinking. And once you can control your phone and computer, you can essentially control almost anything.
Well guys, I think Elon did a great job for disabled people. Can you imagine controlling a computer with your thoughts? But there is a lot to take into consideration here. What if it fries or malfunctions? I'm not okay with losing my mind just yet. So let's move on to the next video.
Egyptian artifacts make absolutely zero sense, and archaeologists might just be afraid of being wrong. How is it the further back in time we go, the more advanced they get? Egypt is old, like really old. Egypt is so old that even ancient Egyptians studied ancient Egyptian history thousands of years older than them. When the Romans discovered the pyramids, they were older to the Romans than the Romans are to us today. Woolly mammoths still roamed the earth when they were first built. And of course, everyone knows that Cleopatra lived closer to the invention of the iPhone, or hell, closer to you watching this video right now than she did to the construction of the pyramids. What's strange is that as time went on, their artifacts somehow got less and less advanced. The Egyptian Empire reigned for about 3,000 years, divided into approximately 31 dynasties classified into the Old, Middle, and New Kingdoms. When we go back to the first 5 or so dynasties, the Old Kingdom, we see impressive feats of design engineering unlike any other. And impressive is an understatement. These are straight up machine perfect down to the micrometer. Like this round vase, perfectly balancing itself dead center on a point no larger than the tip of an egg. Except this isn't your pottery class vase made of clay. It's granite. And granite is harder than steel. That's a fact. Here are the numbers. Here's another vase, slightly chipped, revealing its walls are as thin as a playing card. Another bowl made from diorite, a stone as hard or even slightly harder than granite, whose walls are literally 1/40th of an inch or half a millimeter thick. We have no idea how to make granite pottery like this using known ancient methods, although high-tech machines could probably do the trick. But I don't think you realize how insane it is to suggest that this level of mechanical precision was achieved on granite using primitive tools softer than granite, the official claim. And these are just a few. There were over 40,000 of these artifacts found under the Step Pyramid of Djoser dating back to the 3rd or 4th dynasty, with some suggesting they're actually pre-dynastic, meaning they're even older, and the Old Kingdom Egyptians just inherited them from a previous civilization. Oh, we're in too deep now, Johnny boy. It's only in recent times when we finally analyzed them with modern light scanning technology that we found out how mind-bendingly precise they really are. They took a jar, did some some measurements in a lab, and to this day, Egyptologists have no explanation for these results. The top of the vase was 3,000ths of an inch away from being perfectly flat, something only possible with like CNC machines today. For reference, a sheet of paper is 7,000ths of an inch thick. A human hair is 2 to 3. This thing was a literal hair away from being perfectly flat. The inside lip of the vase's mouth was 1/1000th of an inch away from being perfectly perpendicular to the top, which is a mathematically flawless right angle. And the entire vase was 13,000ths of an inch, which is still just like 2 sheets of paper away from being perfectly circular. These are legit CNC machine level perfections, mass produced over 40,000 times on a material harder than steel using copper and stone tools by hand. Oh, and they might be pre-dynastic, before copper tools were widely even used. I don't see an ounce of logic in that. Okay, maybe this one was just a fluke, right? A one-off perfect vase as a result of mass producing over 40,000 of them. So they took more into the lab and found even more astonishingly accurate measurements, revealing alleged machine-calculated mathematical use of pi, the golden ratio, and more, again to within thousandths of an inch of accuracy. That's like that much. Everything from the flatness of the base, the roundness, and even the uniformity of the thickness of the walls was nothing less of CNC machine perfection. Justifying this by saying they were just really skilled or they had a lot of time does not explain this level of precision with the known tools and methods at their disposal. There are even some vases that are reportedly made from corundum, which is magnitudes harder than granite and sits right behind diamond on the hardness scale. Although this one is for some reason debated, a lot of people claim it isn't made from corundum, but still others insist it is. A single one of these pots would have likely taken weeks, if not months, given modern explanations. Shouldn't there be evidence of their highly precise techniques all over ancient Egypt? Oh, there was this, a hieroglyph outlining the sculpting of an alabaster vase, one of the softest materials ever, softer than marble, and totally possible with their tools. But it's been proven that the technique outlined here would not work with granite. Sure, cutting into huge slabs using rough and painstakingly slow techniques using those tools might be possible, as we've seen them desperately trying to prove, but the force of friction required to achieve that simply would not be possible on small, delicate artifacts like these, never mind how machine accurate they are. Some of these vases are as small as a thimble, not even practical, and even harder to make, almost like they were just showing off, like, look what we can do. One theory is that these vases were spun on some sort of grinding tool, for which they have no evidence nor recordings of, but that's completely blown out of the water with the lug handles on the sides here. It's pretty obvious that these wouldn't be possible from spin grinding. Absolutely no one can explain how these lug handles were made, which again, lab results showed that they too were perfectly symmetrical and level to each other to within thousandths of an inch. Later dynasties even tried recreating these jars, and although still impressive, are nowhere near the precision of the earlier ones. This level of advanced pottery is said to have reached its peak in the first 2 dynasties, and then poof, they just forgot how to do it, which leads people to believe these artifacts might be much older than anyone thinks. What if they inherited them from even earlier previous civilizations? And it doesn't end with these. There's also the schist disc, crafted from a single piece of stone. Tell me, what kind of stone can be shaped like this by hand? No one really knows what this is, said to be a bowl or a flower holder of some sort, even though it looks sorta mechanical. Recovered from a first dynasty tomb, and again thought to be even older than that. Then we get to the statues, and these somehow make even less sense. The face of Ramesses at Luxor. Several of these statues were made in honor of the pharaoh Ramesses. Engineer Christopher Dunn noticed that there was something off about these faces. They were perfect, but almost too perfect, and not in a human way. He took a photo of the statue head, made it 50% transparent, flipped it, and overlaid the left side on the right side. Doing this, he discovered the face was perfectly symmetrical. Centerline measurements confirmed this too. It's like half the head was carved, then copy-pasted to the other half. We see consistent eye-to-mouth profile ratios across all of these statue heads. Something that we'd likely do with like 3D modeling programs today, computer accurate precision. Same thing with the crowns on their heads, and this wasn't done just once, but repeated among many statues. This isn't something that anyone could just eyeball, but experts insist they were all done by hand. Professional sculptor Mike Leckie even wrote in a letter saying that his modern diamond tools would have been well worn out before barely even starting to sculpt something like this out of granite, and states that it would have been borderline impossible to repeatedly achieve this level of accuracy time and time again using only the tools we have evidence of. What machining technologies did ancient Egyptians or even earlier civilizations before them possess that archaeologists just simply refuse to even consider?
Well, guys, what can we say? Ancient civilizations have better technology than we have today. It's very possible. The more and more that you look into Egypt, you're starting to see that we neither have the technology to move these stones, to cut them, nevertheless to build, the structures they have today. But that's something we can cover in another video. Anyway guys, if you like this content about Egypt, let me know and I will make a video about it. Let's move on to the next video.
This is the path that the ISS takes. I have no idea what forces could be at play to cause that sort of a spiraling orbit unless the firmament is literally a giant kid's spirograph set.
You've never seen that pattern. Magnetic field lines, maybe? You ever heard of electrostatic levitation? Just by charging this PVC pipe with some wool, you can get enough electrostatic charge to cause a repulsive effect and cause things to levitate. Look at this. Now imagine instruments with some control. Isn't it funny that the electrostatic force seems to defy gravity, the bending and warping of space-time? It's the one thing that can counteract it. And depending on how things are charged, they can be repulsive or they can be attractive. Here's NASA in a 0G plane doing tests with electrostatic orbital motion, causing two charged items to orbit. Now look at this. Charged bar causing this to do that. Now imagine a controlled environment where there are thrusters and things involved. Familiar, eh? And you know about the electricity in our atmosphere, that there's 100 volts per meter of electrostatic potential that can be harnessed. It's no secret, and they use this electrostatic force in electric propulsion. NASA has an electrostatic levitation laboratory. So don't you think they've figured out this anti-gravity technology using the electrostatics in the atmosphere? Used to, flat earthers were like, oh, satellites don't exist, the ISS doesn't exist. But here's the thing. I believe it is up there because we can see it crossing the moon and the sun. But here's the deal. I don't believe it's 250 miles away and following the bending and warping of space-time, the curvature of space-time. No, I believe that the ISS has so many solar panels because it uses this solar propulsion, harnessing the electrostatics in the atmosphere and having orbital motion, following these electromagnetic field lines. Those of you who waited till the end get something special. He's charging this rod with wool. I'm going to tell you something very interesting about wool. You know Deuteronomy 22:11 that says, you shall not wear fabric made of wool and linen blended together. They say it's pagan. Yeah, it's actually witchcraft because linen's frequency is 5,000. Wool is also at 5,000. But when you mix those two together, that cancels each other out to a frequency of 0. We're talking low energy, low vibration frequency. Totally explains why 100% wool t-shirts are a freaking $100. So those Bible verses that you thought were meaningless actually mean something. So as this deception is going on, they're also deceiving you in how important this field of energy is to our bodies. You know, they try to hide the fact that grounding is good for us as they make these shoes with rubber soles. They try to hide the fact that certain diets raise our frequency, vibration, and our energy field. I believe this created realm that we live in has a lot more secrets to uncover than we think.
Interesting topic. The electric universe is a topic I've been researching, and if you are interested in this type of information, I suggest you check out the Thunderbolt project on YouTube. It's very informative. But anyway guys, let's move on to the next video.
It just keeps getting worse. Human history is just people getting lit and being addicted to painkillers. So this is the poppy plant, okay? Opium comes from this, milk of the poppy. Opium is wild. It has literally been described as God's own medicine by the founder of Johns Hopkins. In Sumeria, they believed it was given by the gods. In Egypt, Isis gave the sun god Ra this to bless humanity. It is the bringer of dreams. In some Buddhist sects, there are legends about how Buddha went into a cave, cut off his eyelids, and when the eyelids hit the ground, what sprouted from it was poppy. Because he doesn't have eyelids, he can't dream anymore, but because of that, humanity can dream into eternity. But here's the issue, opium is highly addictive. Literally read about the Chinese Opium Wars. Opium almost destroyed their country. Great Britain was importing opium in. China was like, stop it, it's now illegal. And then Britain's like, we're going to war with you. Because we want to keep you addicted, keep buying this opium, we need that money. But people were catching on, right? This is highly addictive. And so being the smart human beings that we are, we're like, let's do something about this. We're like, how do we make something less addictive that still has the pain-killing abilities? Enter my friend Friedrich. He starts playing around with it. He creates morphine. And like the OG scientists used to do, he was like, let me test this on myself. After all his tests, he was highly addictive, and he was like, this is not it. This is not the solution. Nobody use this. We didn't listen. We're like, can it really be that bad? So morphine gets everywhere. There was this thing called laudanum, and people loved it, especially Victorian women. Drinkable morphine, okay? Stressful day, drink some laudanum. Cough, laudanum. Cold, laudanum. Your baby's not sleeping, laudanum. Once again, society noticed, hey, people are kind of addicted to this stuff, but we figured it out. We're like, they're not addicted to the laudanum. They just like how it tastes. So how do we get this in your body without you drinking it? And because of that, the first hypodermic needle was invented, and morphine was the first thing to be injected into someone's veins. Boom, solved the issue. We're so freaking smart. By the 1900s, it is insane to read the addiction numbers and the amount of the population that was addicted to this. So again, we're like, we gotta fix this. There's a solution. We made morphine to fix opium addiction. Now what can we make to fix morphine addiction? So there was a scientist, Heinrich Dressel from Bayer. And he was basically like, listen, we've only been looking at natural solutions. What if we can synthesize something similar? And he made this baby. He tested it on a couple of people for a few weeks, a couple of animals, and then he went to a conference and released his findings. And to cheers, he was like, we figured it out. We made something that has all of the benefits with none of the habit-forming abilities. You want to know what he made? Heroin. Heroin. We did it! We did it! Bro, heroin was everywhere. Aspirin, you could not get over the counter because it would cause some gastrointestinal issues. Heroin, that baby, anybody can get it. Over the counter, accessible. Here's some of the old heroin ads. Oh, little baby girl's got a cough or a tummy ache, I don't know. Give her some heroin. Oh, husband's got some bronchitis? Pop in some heroin. Listen to this. Their advertising literally said that it treats colds, headaches, pneumonia, and a plethora of other ailments with no habit-forming side effects. That was their marketing. Obviously, the truth comes out, right? Heroin is not the solution. But now everyone's addicted to heroin, so what can we make to solve this issue? If you haven't seen this series, Painkiller, yet, you need to check it out. It is disgusting. It is disgusting. It follows Purdue Pharma, who made OxyContin, and how basically they knew they were destroying lives, but you gotta make that money, baby. But stuff like this is just wild to me. Your great-great-great-grandma, grandpa, they were getting lit.
But we can see the generational consequences for that today with this all of these people, this craziness, these political parties acting like babies. But anyways, let's move on to the next video.
They used to meet in secret to discuss their mathematical discoveries. Only members were allowed to attend. They had a secret emblem, the pentagram. Let's see what the topic is for today. It was our old friend Pythagoras who discovered that the pentagram was full of mathemagic. The two shorter lines combined exactly equal the third. And this line shows the magic proportions of the famous golden section. The second and third lines exactly equal the fourth. Once again we have the golden section. But this is only the beginning. Hidden within the pentagram is a secret for creating a golden rectangle, which the Greeks admired for its beautiful proportions and magic qualities. The star contains the golden rectangle many times over. It's a most remarkable shape. It can mathematically reproduce itself indefinitely. All these rectangles have exactly the same proportions. This figure also contains a magic spiral that repeats the proportions of the golden section into infinity. To the Greeks, the golden rectangle represented a mathematical law of beauty. We find it in their classical architecture. The Parthenon, perhaps one of the most famous of early Greek buildings, contains many golden rectangles. These same golden proportions are also found in their sculpture. In the centuries that followed, the golden rectangle dominated the idea of beauty in architecture throughout the Western world. The Cathedral of Notre Dame is an outstanding example. The Renaissance painters knew this secret well. Think of a pentagram, Donald. Now put another inside, a third, and a fourth. No pencil is sharp enough to draw as fine as you can think, and no paper large enough to hold your imagination. In fact, it is only in the mind that we can conceive infinity. Mathematical thinking has opened the doors to the exciting adventures of science.
I'll be doggone. I've never seen so many doors before.
Each discovery leads to many others, an endless chain.
What's the matter with these doors? Hey, these doors won't open. They're locked.
Of course they are locked. These are the doors of the future, and the key is...
Mathematics.
Right. Mathematics. The boundless treasures of science are locked behind those doors. In time, they will be opened by the curious and inquiring minds of future generations.
Well, guys, I didn't know Donald Duck was this informative. I definitely appreciate Walt Disney for all the information he shared with us when we were kids. But anyways, guys, this is all I have for you today. If you're enjoying the content, don't forget to like and subscribe. And thank you for hanging out with me. Peace.